I'm James Watts. I'm the CEO here at Theta Technologies in Exeter. So I think it's fair to say that Theta Technologies spent 10 to 15 years doing some really important background research. So that led to the papers and the patents and actually involvement in the standards committees that have really formed the baseline for the technology that we're talking about now. Only in the last few years, we've picked the most important of those technologies, which is nonlinear resonance, and we've really focused on creating hardware to bring that to market so that we can make a difference using the technology for additive manufacturing in particular. What we're finding with talking to customers is that to start with, additive manufactured parts being used as fixtures or as part of tooling, and then they've moved on to direct replicas of existing components. And for those, existing non-destructive test techniques are pretty much going to work. But as we get to start to achieve the benefits of additive manufacturing by combining components, then those conventional non-destructive test techniques might not work. And then to really get the benefit of additive manufacturing, you have to start from the benefits of the technology. And that means that you end up producing parts that just can't be inspected by conventional methods. And so what we're doing is we're starting to show potential users of AM for critical applications with some maybe very complex parts or very big parts, that there is a technique that can be used to do some quality assurance. And I think that's just starting to be a really important part of developing AM for these critical applications. I think it's useful to have a quick understanding of how the system works, and then I'll explain why it's good for AM. So with nonlinear resonance, we excite the whole part into resonance, and we measure the acoustic signature of the part. So every single mechanical part's got an acoustic signature, and that depends on the geometry, the dimensions of the part, and its material properties. So, for example, if you take a part like this, which is a little musical box, it's got a little metal piece here with lots of fingers, and each of those fingers has got a defined geometry and defined material properties. And as a whole, the part has an acoustic signature, which has got lots of resonances with different parts of the component in motion at different frequencies. And so what you'd expect is that if you measure the acoustic signature really, really accurately, then you can measure the acoustic signature, but that should be fixed. But what we find is that if you look carefully enough, then if a part has a crack in it, then when you change how you excite the part, you can actually see the acoustic signature change. Not very much, but a bit. And that shouldn't be able to happen. And it happens because the surfaces of a crack or a crack-like flaw, like lack of fusion, can interact. They can clap or they can rub against each other, and that generates a change in the acoustic signature that our system can measure. And so that's really useful for additive manufacturing because it means we've got a technique that you can place a part into the system, excite it with some energy at a range of different frequencies, and then measure how that part responds to the excitation, and then change how we excite it and look again and look for those really tiny differences. And if we do see a change in the acoustic signature, then that indicates that there's a crack present. That's really good for AM because it means that we're testing the whole part in one go. We don't care if the surface of the part is rough or if the part's got lots of really, really complex internal detail. We can manage materials like Inconels and copper that are really dense and parts that are much too big for example, X-ray CT. So it really is a perfect technique for a quick inspection of additive manufactured parts. We recognize that what we're trying to do here in introducing a brand new non-destructive test technique is really hard. Quality people tend to be very cautious, and they really need to see evidence that a system works for themselves. And with additive manufacturing, there aren't many better alternatives for testing components if it's possible at all. And so our focus over the last few years and really looking into the immediate future is to work with potential customers and show them that this technique can give them a really quick test of whether their components have got flaws and prove it for themselves on their own parts. When we started this started to release this product, we felt that the ability to make a really quick judgment about whether a part is likely to have flaws in or not would be a really attractive thing on its own. And what we found is that, as well as that, the fact that this system can generate a lot of information which is linked to geometry and material properties is also really, really useful. And so, looking into the future, we're expecting to really take advantage of that, use machine learning algorithms to correlate the acoustic signature and how that changes with variations in geometry and material properties within the build, and hopefully identify when AM processes have drifted before it becomes a problem. I think we've been a member for about 3 years, and our original reason for joining was to network and attend events. We wanted to find out who's active in AM within the UK and see if there are opportunities for us to collaborate on projects with those people. Since we joined, we've attended lots of events and we've seen the press releases and articles that have been circulated, and that's been really useful. I think the main thing for us, apart from just going along to the events and networking and meeting people and opportunities just developing naturally, I think one of the other things that we hadn't anticipated being really useful was the fact that it presents us with a single point of contact to go to, where we can ask questions of who do we talk to get answers about this, who's interested in this sort of topic, and that's been really, really useful. It's still really early for AM for adoption for really critical applications, and I think it's obvious that the benefits of combining parts, of making parts that are really, really designed to take advantage of the benefits of additive manufacturing, are going to become more prevalent, they're going to become bigger, and they're going to become more critical. And so I think that's fantastic, because it means that we can get some really good benefits of cost, weight, speed, all of those things, and simplified supply chain. But for these critical applications, that's really going to require non-destructive tests, and I can definitely see a lot more energy going into exploring non-destructive tests and the wider quality management for additive manufacturing parts. AM and the availability of machines to produce parts is accessible to relatively small companies, and so the AM component market has got lots and lots of different companies, each specializing in a niche area, that don't necessarily have the 50 years of heritage in producing parts for critical applications like aerospace and defense and so on. And that's fantastic, because it really encourages innovation, but it does mean that they don't have that sort of backup of some of the other aspects that companies need, like training and people skills and things like that. And so I think one of the things that AM UK can do looking into the future is really help coordinate the training that people need, work with government to make sure that government are giving the support that these companies need, and also encouraging these firms to work together and produce solutions that can compete with the best in the world.